Hello, lovely beings. How are you doing on this Red Skywalker journey? Today is Monday, the 25th of October, and 2021. And we're in the 52-day code of Red Skywalker, following on from the 52-day code of Red Dragon. So I've had a few revelations over the past few days around intuitive connection to the Zolkin and what it is teaching me. For those of you who watched my videos in the past for a while, you'll know that Red Skywalker is when I first connected to the Zolkin, the dream spell, in 2011 on the 2nd of November. I had no idea of the significance of that back then. And as we go into the 2nd of November this year, I will be in my 11th year. It's part of this wave spell and it's blue spectral night. So this year for me, in connection with the Zolkin, I will be focusing on what is seeking to be released, what is dissonance, what is a letting go, what is a spectral energy, the shadow story around my ancestor's story. 2nd of November is such a significant day for me because that was when I split with the father of my children after 26 years, my life's work. And what I'd learned during that period with that person, white cosmic dog, the center of the Zolkin, what needs to shift in terms of ancestral patterns. Again, I wasn't aware of that on such a deep level as I am now. That happened in 2014. I'm in a very different space now. And as we do this inner work, as we become very aware of our patterns, our karmic lessons, our astrology, we focus on healing this shadow story. This is the most important thing, healing the shadow story to become free of it. And so it takes a radical shift in mindset, a paradigm shift on a personal level, to focus on what the universe is bringing us that triggers us, that doesn't feel good, knowing that this is the old story. And of course, at this time of year, as we're in Scorpio, we're in the death and rebirth, we're in the 0 point of understanding our boundaries, understanding whether we have healthy boundaries or not. Of course, this is pivotal to what's happening on the planet now as well, to do with health. And so this wave spell is unlike any other in the fact that it has 3 clear signs in it, and I'm going to go over those. You can check that out on my blog as well, which is flowwithjo.com. Put in the search engine or find it on the menu, 13 clear signs. I've done several blogs there around my personal experiences. So because this is very similar to 2018 as well, lots of repeating patterns around that, because the Zolkin started on the 26th of October in 2018. So it was in Scorpio energy. And for me, in previous times, on these key clear sign days, I have had major events happen in my life where I've had confirmation of my intuition and had to go through challenging experiences in order to go to the next level of being empowered. That's the trip this time. And remember that if we choose this time to work wisely, do most of your work within on healing these patterns and awareness, and minimizing any drama interactions in the outer world by doing this. So just becoming very aware of what your triggers are, what the old stories are that are linked to them, and becoming a clear sign yourself. Red Skywalker builds on the first 52 days, which all our survival stories have come up, all our delusions are illusions, all our challenges in the first 52 days of Red Dragon. And so today I'm recording this video. Just going to get the calendar. Here we go. So today, the right way around, that'd be useful, wouldn't it? Okay. So we began, there we go, Red Skywalker. Red Skywalker is the 13th mind sign. And the planet for Red Skywalker is Mars. All red signs are about awakening, they're the initiation, and they have the east energy. So it's where the sun is rising, bringing that light, bringing that awareness. If you look at this glyph, you can see that, again, if you look and compare with astrology, it matches Gemini. We've got North Node in Gemini at the moment, and Gemini is the third zodiac sign in the wheel. It's about co-creation, communication, understanding, mindset as well. It's an air sign, so it's all about the mind. And so again, what we're focusing on, remember, in this 260-day cycle is Virgo energy. What is our mindset? What is our conditioned mindset? What have we been brainwashed with? What are we holding? I'm doing a forensic psychology degree at the moment online with the Open University, and I've completed my first module. I've now started my second module, and again, I love the synchronicity because the focus is on intelligence and how it is measured in the psychological world, and how we've got different tests for it, and how these have evolved. How do you measure intelligence? So again, it's recognizing that the people who instigate the measurements, they have a mindset, they have a paradigm, they have a culture that they're in. And often these have been applied to many different cultures and backgrounds inappropriately, because a measurement by one culture and one background cannot be universally applied, because each person has their own genetic code. Again, this totally fits in with the Mayan, based on their cultural experiences, their ancestors' experience on a gene level. And what we're discovering now is how to really understand that on a deeper level, how these genes are projected. And again, in psychological terms, we talk about projection. Often people project their shadow story onto other people rather than owning it themselves. And that can be totally valid. And in the Mayan, we all project our stories in this way, in this framework that I'm using within the Wavespell. We all project our stories in this way because it is our ancestral pattern. Once we start to really understand and work with that, then we can keep the wise stuff that works, that's allowed us to survive, which is what Red Dragon was all about, the initiation up here. With the portal, akashic record, ancestral record. Okay, so by the time we get to Red Skywalker, if we're working on this deeper level, then we can be very aware of that. So how our old ancestral stories are still projecting out of us onto the world. And again, once you start to really work with this energy and work with a group of people, as I do, you have a recognition of shared storylines and how we can help each other through our own experiences. And that is how I work with people, is I recognize when they're coming in that they will have shared storyline with me. My mind sign is blue solar hand, which is a clear sign as well. There are 13 clear signs, and blue solar hand is about connecting to our spirit, more and more, embodying it, shaping our destiny, and releasing these old stories, getting the learning, and expanding our intelligence to the divine source more and more by becoming free of the old conditioned mindset. And so the key focus really at this time over this 260-day cycle is to understand what's manifesting in your life now, what mindsets have created that, and stuff that feels joyful, loving, expansive, your destiny, you know, what you're here for as a shiny, beautiful person, to evolve more and more. You want to become very aware of what mindsets have helped you do that. And most importantly, at the same time, to work on releasing what doesn't work, what creates fear stories, survival issues that you are still embodying from your ancestors, from your culture. And of course, in order to birth a new earth, these are what we need to let go of. So getting really focused in this 260 days to embody the sacred feminine of Virgo energy, so that when we go into the next cycle, which is Taurus, we're going to see the manifestation of that. So lots of inner work is required at this time, lots of tapping, especially this week. It's going to be supercharged over the next couple of weeks in this Scorpio energy. Scorpio shows us our power issues, it shows us our boundaries, it shows us all our intimacy issues of wounding, betrayal, and so that we can heal them and keep opening our heart to deeper intimacy and finding people who we can be in truth with. So back to Red Skywalker, and I'm on Red Moon there, so I've missed that. There we go. Back to Red Skywalker. So Red Skywalker is the 13th mind sign. It's the human being, the Quetzalcoatl, who is ready to do the shift by doing this process and getting clear. And believe me, this stuff works. If you tap every day for 28 days, it works. You'll see an amazing shift. And you've got to be disciplined to do it. And now is the time to be disciplined. Okay, so we've done the red castle. We're now in the white castle. And we're now working with this Skywalker energy. And there are 3 clear signs. So on those days, this is going to be particularly relevant. So for all of you who are interested in astrology and know about your own cosmic codes, the Mayan will help you really go on a deeper level with that, especially if you know what your own 13-year cycles are. This is very, very significant. And this is how I'm working with people in the 52-day process, so that we become very aware of what the universal 13-day program is, what our 13-year program is, and how we're going to be working with themes of that throughout in order to create heaven on earth through us by healing and clearing our hell stories. And as we move down into Halloween on October the 31st, we are in a very thin veil, so we can hear our ancestors, we can connect, we can tune in. So today we're on the alchemy day 3 of this spiral, and this is Blue Eagle, and Blue Eagle is the 15th mind sign. It's a mastery sign. So once we do the first 13, these are sort of the human being story, and then we go on to this, what I call the 7 solar seals, which are working on a higher vibration to see the bigger picture. So the bigger picture with Blue Eagle is, who are we as a planetary server? And instead of the ego story around I'm this job, or I'm doing this out in the community, my understanding from all of this is the way that we be a planetary server is we heal and transform and rise above, look like an eagle up on high over where you've been in this lifetime, where you've come from, all the challenges that you've had to go through, and really recognize yourself, honor yourself for where you've been. And if you have any feelings around criticizing yourself, again, Virgo energy can be very critical, then tap on that, because this is something that you've learned from your culture, from your family, and being gentle with ourselves, taking the small steps every day and being courageous to do that. That's the key now. Okay, so lots to cover in this. So bear with me. So first of all, I'm going to focus on, we are on the Sun in Scorpio today, and we are on, we began Scorpio on Saturday on the 23rd. So that was the 0 point, the 0 degrees. So in each sign, we've got 30 degrees that we go through, a degree each day, each 24 hours in terms of the sun energy. And so yesterday was step 1 and 1 degree, and today we're on number 2. So again, in terms of 2 degrees, we're looking at new learning, and we're looking at how we're working with this lunar energy. So again, that's one of the revelations that I had, is in every 13-day process, when we go into lunar energy, which was yesterday, we had white lunar wizard, and remembering that we're in a 13-year cycle of white wizard. Okay, so whenever we are in a white day, these are relating to our empowerment issues that are coming up. So of course they're going to come up. So welcome them in if you can. And if you're tapping, if you haven't started tapping yet, check it out. emofree.com, Gary Craig gives you a free manual on there. There's loads of resources out there. This will change your life. Get tapping on your stuff, know what stuff is, and get clearing it, because EFT will really help you at this time. So white wizard, white lunar wizard, whenever we go into a lunar day, we're connecting to what emotional stuff did we learn in white wizard. And white wizard was the second 13-day process. So it began on the 14th of September, because it matched. We began this whole cycle on the 1st of September, which was so key for the Gregorian calendar. It doesn't often do that, so that was handy. So we began here on the 1st of September, through 13 days was the first cycle, and then we went into white wizard on the 14th of September. So think back to what you were doing then for 13 days. You know, what was happening for you around empowerment issues? What was your emotional trigger points? What was your lunar story that was going on for you back then around empowerment issues? And of course, again, with all of this, this is an active process. So we want to be working on the inside in order to heal past disempowerment issues. And then we can start to behave in a different way from an assertive point of view rather than an aggressive point of view. And again, just take it easy with yourself. You don't have to push yourself out there if you don't feel ready to challenge people, you know, or at work or wherever it is where you're having these challenges coming up. They will be coming up now. It's just how it is. People are now coming into their power. Trust the astrology. Even though it's an intense time, it's where we need to go in humanity in order to be free of this unequal pattern that we've been running for thousands of years on the planet, where people don't know who they truly are, and they have been oppressed and suppressed by a ruling group of people who, well, let's just say they're not the nicest people in the world, and their bloodlines go back a long, long way around this dynamic in history. Okay, so yesterday was really about tuning in on that 1 degree of Scorpio around your empowerment issues and what's been coming up for you. Where do you need to change your boundaries? Remember, being the goddess means embodiments of being good to yourself, being nurturing to yourself, being healthy, letting go of all poisons, toxins, things that give you an artificial high, things that take the edge off. When you start going deeper and you release codependency, when you start becoming free of any addictions, then it is challenging, and it's also the first steps to complete freedom. And again, this is all intrinsic to being a clear sign. So in terms of, before I put the calendar down, another thing, so many things that I want to talk about today, because I've not done a lot of this work for a while. Huge stuff going on for me at the moment, all good, all great. And it takes up a lot of time and energy. So one of the things that I saw on my friend Kim's, who does the 13 moon calendar as well, and I'll put a link for her on here. She posted something about the 52nd Mayan sign. And again, it's something that I haven't really focused on. Everybody does this in a different way, and that's how it's meant to be. We all have our own gifts. We all have our own focus on how we are sharing this information. But each Mayan sign has a number as well. So if you're a red magnetic dragon, you're number 1, and so on. So it moves down. So by the time we get to the 52nd Mayan sign, we are here with yellow cosmic human. So that was the yellow sun wave spell completing in this cycle. So remember, we've got red, white, blue, and yellow in everyone. 4 13-day processes. And I know it's a lot of information to take in. I can't do anything about that, sorry, but that's just how it works. So I'm just trying to relay information as it comes into me. And so there we go. Yellow cosmic human is the 52nd. And then I went on from that to look at the next ones. And so that's the key day. What needs to shift for the human being? The thing with the human being mind is it will often lie to the person who owns it, because it's a survival mechanism. If you study psychology, you realize that often people are in denial as a protection mechanism. They go into delusions, they go into dissonance, they tune out, they use addictions. Check out Gabor Mate if you haven't already. He does some amazing videos about this. People's addictions are a way of not feeling. And if you go back to when we're children, if we have traumatic events and our psyche doesn't have the maturity to cope with it, or it's too shocking, it's too disturbing, and it could affect our survival, then our mind has a way of tuning out and creating coping mechanisms. And so later on in life, when we're more mature and maybe we've got some self-development going on, we've got more understanding, or we're seeing a therapist, or however each person does that, we can then start to unlock this story. In shamanic terms, this is often described as soul retrieval. All different cultures have different ways of doing that. Basically, it means that at some point in our life, we've had something happen to us that we couldn't cope with, and that's been filed away somewhere, but it's still there. Okay, so the story of that is still running. And these are what our triggers are. These are what show up sometimes on a daily basis. And if you see it in a different way, this is about that part of ourselves that's saying, look, there's something here to be healed. There's something where we're still stuck in the old story. There's something that's still running the bus on a deeper level and taking us down a narrative because of that. So once we really start to understand how these tools work, we can then start to really shape our destiny in a different way. And so yellow cosmic cumin is the body doesn't lie, the body gets triggered. The amygdala triggers us. It's our fight, flight, or freeze or fawn system. And so we get these emotional reactions that come up to situations. Sometimes they're very disproportionate to what's actually happening in the here and now. And this is a sign that there are lots of trigger points, old stories that have sort of clustered together so that they're grabbing our attention now, saying this needs to be addressed. When we go into 104 days, so that's 2 lots of 52-day cycles, we come to yellow cosmic seed, and that's the last day of yellow human in the White Castle. So this is what needs to be released from our coping mechanisms, our addictions, so that we can deliver our starseed mission, what we're here for at this time, what we're here to change for humanity by changing ourselves. 156 days is 3 times 52. That's yellow seed, yellow magnetic seed in the blue castle. And this is the only one that's the magnetic, all the rest are cosmic. So that's very significant. Yellow seed in the blue castle is the 13-day process that takes us out of the center of the Zolkin, and it has 10 akashic portal days. Okay, so here's yellow seed. It's the 4th Mayan sign. It's the structure. And so if you can see there, that's where it begins in the blue. Blue is about transformation of all what came in the first bit from the red and the white. We go into the blue, and then yellow seed actually is taking us out into the yellow. And you can see this is like a key with DNA. And as I said, there are 10 portals, huge akashic access there for ancestral patterning. Okay, so that's the only one, as I say, that's magnetic. Next, we have 208 days, so that's 4 times 52. We have yellow cosmic star. What needs to be released so that we can be the star that we really are. And that's in the yellow castle. It's the end of the yellow warrior wave spell. So cosmic, remember, is 13. What needs to shift so we can connect fully to the cosmic story rather than the conditioned mind story? And that's in the yellow warrior wave spell. So the human being that is doing their heart healing to surrender to this process now. And finally, 5 times 52, it's the very last one, 260 days, yellow cosmic sun, which is in the yellow star wave spell in the green castle, and an akashic record portal day in itself. So what needs to shift around the whole dynamic of the shadow story that we've been doing in the 260-day cycle, ready to birth the next round. So this is a continual spiral that is happening over and over and over. So to go back to the astrology today, so we've got the sun in Scorpio, we've got the moon in waning Gemini. And this is very interesting because the next 6 full moons that are coming up, I mentioned it in the last video, they're all going to be at 27 degrees. And so the moon in Gemini at 27 degrees, this will be coming up later on in the year. And so I'm just going to share with you 27 degrees. So just bear with me. Much found stored in a cool cave, knowing your greatest attributes, tucking them away for safekeeping and going on without them, daring yourself to operate without the huge advantage of knowing everything ahead of time, and dropping down into the position of moving by primal instinct, each moment naked and following the live track of what arises. Turning yourself into a wide open, vastly impressionable, fluent and flexible frontline participant, but keeping on ice the most astounding array of greater gifts, the ones that are too much for this world now, and being quite inwardly assured that sooner or later you can and will draw upon and tap into the greater frequencies of awareness in order to take the path even further along than spontaneous presence could begin to imagine. So keep your eye out on that, because what you're doing today is going to be linked to that energy for that full moon in Gemini later on in the year. In terms of the code for today for the main oracle, we've got blue hand, and it will be good if I put it the right way up. Okay, so blue hand is the 7th Mayan sign. It's about shaping your destiny. It's about being able to fulfill the highest potential in this lifetime for you. Embody your avatar, embody your higher self through healing your ancestral story, is my understanding of it. And the card today in Thoth is the Fool. And so ground zero, being the divine child, being the innocent, the wise innocent though. So again, the more that we do the healing and free ourselves from the storyline, we see things with different eyes. We literally have different experiences because we have done the first round of being the initiate, and then we start to become adept. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you. Here we go. So again, this is an amazing website that I always share because there's a plethora of information on there. He goes into so much depth. And so sometimes we're the fool because we're naive and we don't really understand what we're going into. And we always want to be open-hearted and open-minded in a wise way. So again, this relates also to the amygdala in terms of the way that our mind works has allowed us to survive. And otherwise, each time we stepped outside the door, we'd be at ground zero again. We'd be very innocent and naive in the ways of the world, and that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing for us. So we'd have to learn lots of lessons over and over every day. It'd be Groundhog Day. But in this different way, the more that we heal, we have the wisdom, we have the experience, we have the wisdom of our ancestors as well. But we're not stuck in the storyline. We are going to the next level. So to rise above the material world. To throw oneself into the abyss of the unknown. Returning to the innocence of the child within. So this week there is a lot of astrology. And so bear with me. So I've been watching several things yesterday rather, and picking out what feels very significant. So of course now we're in the waning moon, and the next significant event with the moon is we've got the new moon in Scorpio at 12 degrees, and that's going to be on the 4th. So the 3 clear sign days are, first of all, on day 5, so that's Wednesday, the 27th of October, is Red Overtone Earth. And at that point, we're in Cancer Moon. So there's going to be a lot of emotion around the home. Red Overtone Earth is really about mastering where we are on the earth, how we feel grounded, what ungrounds us. Red Earth's planet is Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus at the moment. So what's coming to light about what we value, what we love, and the focus being on times in the past that have really ungrounded us on an ancestral level as well. On that day, the North Node is at 2 degrees of Gemini. And so it's been retrograding back in this energy. So again, wherever that is in your chart is significant. North Node in Gemini really is about right relationship. It's about where we're headed for on the planet, around co-creation, cooperation, and realizing that we all have our own viewpoints as well, and how we come into right relationship with everyone, so that we have, everyone is heard, everyone is valued. And again, there's lots of repeating patterns going on around people being excluded, people being bullied, people being harassed in a way that on one level is quite amazing, really, that this can be happening at this time on planet Earth after everything we've been through historically around race, around religion. And clearly we're being shown that that was just a surface token construct, that all of these issues are still running very, very deep. And of course, in terms of the sacred feminine, women are in all of these groups. And so they have been affected in every respect. Now we've taken it to a whole different level. We've taken the old stories of how certain groups were scapegoated and how they are the ones who are the truth holders. So for the people who are corrupt, who are in power, in order for them to succeed in the conditioned mindset and brainwashing, if you like, of the other people in the cultures, then often these minority groups are held up as the ones who are doing the harm, doing this is typical narcissistic gaslighting. And so that's going to be a big day on Wednesday as to what's happening for you on a personal level on your creating heaven and hell process. The next one is the day after, on Thursday the 28th of October, where the moon goes into Leo, and we've got Venus sextiling Jupiter at 22 degrees. So that's the Mary Magdalene code, that's the sacred feminine code on that day. So expect the unexpected on that day. White rhythmic mirror is coming on 5 degrees of Scorpio. So again, this is about mastery, the number 5, squaring the circle. And so going beyond. So on day 1, 2, 3, and 4, we've got the structure. Then on day 5, we go into Red Overtone Earth. So we're seeing what needs to get clear on day 6. We are seeing what is reflected back in our holograph, our own personal holograph. So if you use this framework, which is what the Mayan calendar is all about, and of course several other templates in spiritual path as well, we're in a dream world, we're in a matrix, we're in a Maya world. And the purpose of this is for our evolution to understand that we're a spirit in a human being experience and how we navigate that. And my understanding is, so the more that we get clear on the inside, this is what reflects on the outside. This reveals where we are on our spiritual path, on our mystery school challenge, what level we are at around our own sovereignty and our own empowerment, and how we handle these challenges. This is the key. So the more that we understand the emotional evolution, the more that we understand how our amygdala works, the more we understand how we work as a human being, the more that we can start to master our emotional intelligence, come into our center all the time, and use these tools to let go of these old emotional trigger stories, not just for us, but for all our ancestors and anybody who's connected to us on a cellular level. So if we have children, parents, siblings, we're all resonating on some level, on a cellular level. And with energy healing, this is how it works. And the ripples go out, and this is how we birth the new earth. On Friday, we have Mars in Libra at the 29th degree. So this is the nth degree. This is where we're looking at what needs to shift on a soul level, coming into balance with fairness, authority issues, weighing the heart. Blue resonance storm. So again, everything that I've just been talking about, what's resonating within us, the storm within us. And so, of course, the more that we work on the inner storm, the outside changes, and we keep our head when everyone else is losing theirs. Keep your focus on yourself and your own inner work, and the outside will take care of itself. Remember the 10,000 things of the Tao, the moving parts, all of that around you, you cannot control. And at the same time, paradoxically, it's a reflection of you. So within that storm game plan, different people are having different experiences because of where they are on their personal journey. Often we get tricked into the illusion that we can do something outside, that there's something going on outside that we can change without changing on the inside. And that is something that is not a universal truth. So the more that we understand about the inner world and focus on that, that's the key to becoming a clear sign. Then we have a big day on Saturday, the 30th of October, because that is a huge day in terms of the Mayan. We have got yellow galactic sun. And so this is the key focus really of what needs to integrate around the story. Galactic is about integration. It's about Scorpio, Scorpio being the 8th sign in the zodiac. The infinity symbol, as above, so below, as within, so without. And the more that we get clear of these old manipulated stories around codependency and power imbalance, then the more we can connect to our source code and hold that light, hold that consciousness, and see the world in a completely different way and have a different experience. So we've got the sun squaring Saturn on that day at 7 degrees. So again, that's the mystical, that's blue hand. And this also connects to where Saturn was it back in February. So you think about what you were doing back then. In terms of this clear sign day, Mars goes into Scorpio at 0 degrees. And so again, this is the warrior that is going for truth, totally going for truth, and is blazing a trail around the death and rebirth. And it's just the day before the veil is at its thinnest at Halloween. So on Halloween, we have got Red Solar Dragon, and we begin a new 20-day cycle. Okay, so again, we've got these 20-day cycles going down, and at the moment we are 1, 2, 3 rows in. So the co-creation code, the alchemical code. And so again, reminder that we're on that alchemical day today. Day 3 is electric. It's about changing our thoughts, changing our mindsets through doing healing so that we change what we manifest. The universe always brings us what we need, not necessarily what we want. So once we get down to the yellow galactic sun, and again, this is on my website, flowwithjo.com. This is the Mayan sign of Pacal Votan, and all the 13 clear signs are on his sarcophagus in his tomb at the Temple of Inscriptions in Palenque. So Google that, check that out for more information. He was discovered in 1952. Okay, so it's also interesting how it all clicks in together. So when we go into the next 20-day cycle on All Hallows Eve, on Samhain, then we go into the 4th 20-day cycle. And so this is the structure, and the structure is all about going through the gateway of our survival issues, our delusions, our illusions, and connecting to source, connecting to truth, which is free of those storylines, and that all is love. Okay, so now that's also on 8 degrees of Scorpio Sun. So again, it's a very, very powerful day where we can set an intention to connect to our ancestors and ask for their guidance, ask for their support. And so whatever's going on for you at that time, it's going to be very significant. It's a very significant time for me at the moment around that. And just becoming very aware of our boundaries now. This is what Scorpio is all about. It is on a deeper level to do with things like diseases, bacteria, survival, and it's recognizing that that cell that we have, that wall of that cell, how we create our new cells, how we rejuvenate ourselves every day, is intrinsic, is driven by our consciousness and also our unconsciousness, which is why often we're not aware of why things are happening. And the more that we start to bring our own pattern story to light, the more we start to heal ourselves, the more we start to let go of our coping mechanisms around denial, because we're ready to face our demons, we're ready to face what we really think about ourselves and change it, evolve, learn new things. And the more we change on a cellular level, the more resilient we are, the more we raise our immunity. When we get depressed, this is one of the key reasons for denial. Our emotional mind knows that if we get very depressed, we get very sick, and we go into a decline. We go into breakdowns, etc. And that in itself can be an amazing process to break us through to somewhere else, to help us let go. There is a proactive process that we can do as well, so we don't need to get to that state. Of course, a lot of people are going through this now with they're having to look at life completely differently because of what has been imposed on them and what they've chosen to participate in. And some people stay with the old still, and that will get tougher. And some people will opt to change and be proactive. And so the emotional mind will then be prepared to let go of denial, knowing that that person is in a strong enough place to start to work with a reconstruct of themselves, death and rebirth. The asteroid Haumei, which is a death and rebirth asteroid, is also coming into play at this moment. So she shows us as a midwife in your chart where the rebirth process is. And most of the women that I've been working with, this is in Virgo. So again, if you think this 260-day cycle started in Virgo, which is Earth, went into Libra, which is air. And so we're now in Scorpio, which is the emotion. So just look at what's been happening for you over that time, over that process, where you are on the earth, what you've been thinking, and now what emotions are coming up based on the thoughts that you have and the meaning that you put onto things. We all do that in a very different, unique way. Okay, so that is the gateway point at Halloween. Day 9 is always the gateway point. And following on, we have Monday, the 1st of November, is a manifestation day, white planetary wind. Tuesday, the 2nd of November, is blue spectral night. So again, that's, as I said earlier, that's my anniversary for my connection with the Zolkin. And so again, on Tuesday, we'll be focusing on the 2nd of November, what needs to be released based on what we've been experiencing so far. On Wednesday, we have yellow crystal seed. And on Thursday, the 4th of November, red cosmic serpent, which is when we have the new moon in Scorpio. Also on that day is the very last day of Venus in Sagittarius, so that's going to be very significant. So again, on the shift day, it's going to be focusing on what is seeking release in relationship. And in the next wave spell, white magnetic world bridger, Venus goes into Capricorn. So really focusing on being the disciple, discipline. And of course, we're going into the eclipse season as well later on in November. So more of that in other wave spells. But we've got some really big energy coming in that's going to be setting us up for 2022 because the North Node will be going into Taurus. So we've got a lunar eclipse in Taurus coming up on the 19th. And so the new moon is at 12 degrees in Scorpio. And there's a lot going on around that new moon. Venus is at the galactic center in the previous days before, around about 26, 27 degrees. So again, Venus being the whole key to the Mayan 260-day cycle. That's the cycle of Venus. So this is where is our maturity coming in around our childhood issues, becoming an adult, taking full responsibility for where we are and what we create in this life as a conscious dreamer. And the new moon has a T-square. There's lots of dynamics going on there. So it could be a very, very challenging time on the 4th. And again, I will do more nearer that time around talking about that. Other significant cycles. So in terms of the lunar eclipse in Taurus on the 19th, it's the first one near the North Node since 2004, which was the Venus transit back then. So again, tune into what was happening for you back in 2004. We were in the red moon 13-year cycle then. So we were awakening to authenticity at that point. The lunar eclipse in Taurus is the first one since 2014. So again, as I talked about earlier on in this video, that was a very significant time for me. I've got Moon in Taurus, always a very significant time for me, the full Moon in Taurus time. And also it's going to be within 1 degree of Algol, which is again linking into betrayal stories, and yeah, quite a heavy energy there. So things that are coming to light around our emotional story now. So just to highlight again, so we've got the Sun squaring Saturn on October the 30th. So it's going to be a really, really big day, October the 30th. Mars enters Scorpio on that day. The Sun is in opposition to Uranus on November the 4th, which is the new moon. And the Sun trines Neptune on November 11th, so 11/11. And so again, that's going to be in the next wave spell of White Magnetic World Bridger. All the light is coming through at this point to really show us what creates a heavenly Garden of Eden experience here on planet Earth and what doesn't. And so it's essential to know thyself, know what your patterns are, know what your codes are, know what ancestral line you're working with, and that will really give you key insights, key threads in the story, and then be really focused on shaping your destiny around that new moon time, so that you can start to create really good, healthy boundaries for yourself with all of this learning. We've got to start wherever we are and come into total acceptance of that. That's the first key stage. It doesn't mean we accept the behavior or it's right, or it means we're just making peace with what has happened to us so far, so that we can be in total honesty with ourselves and look clearly at what needs to shift for us as an individual at this amazing rebirth time, because we have the power to change human being experience. That's the amazingness that we are. We are an embodiment of the divine here at this time, and we've come here to do this transformation at this tipping point. So lots of love to you, and if you have any questions or you'd like to know more, just please get in touch. My website is flowwithjo.com. Hope you have an amazing 13-day experience. Bye for now.